Okay, so this is a general recording just to make sure that the constituent parts that are needed for the clock to work are all here. So as it goes, what we've got is a working clock. So you need to see how this method or this process actually works. So let's focus onto this. You can see that the actual spinner or the escapement is working perfectly fine. So I'm going to let that sit for a bit. I have connected the battery just on this particular setup, so whether you know or not, it's important to see a fully working clock before it gets sent over. So you can see the escapement's working fine. So let's make sure that concentrates on that section there. And then there's also going to be the bit where the contact happens with the lever. So what happens is, obviously you know or may not know the fact that there's a contact section on the bit here, so I'll show you there, and that's the bit where it makes physical contact. So let's just see if we can make a closer view of this. So in this there's going to be a section where a contact will happen and it will rewind the clock, so these hands will come back and rewind the clock, and that's the charge that's needed to make the battery work, so or make the clock work. So there's going to be a charge, so let me focus on that bit, from the battery. So the battery is connected from here, positive, negative. The charge of the capacitors over here at the top section here, and then over here is where it makes a contact and then winds the handles. So I'm waiting for that to kick in any second now, so let's just see. I'm just going to see if I can get the angle of light just right. So there we go. So you should be able to see when it makes a contact. And there we go. So what it's done is just pushed it, wound it back, so the handle is now reset, and it will work its way back up again and reset. So that's literally what is required by the charge. Now you may or may not know this information, but it's well worth highlighting that the clock is working, and that's what's important to me, is that I've conveyed the information that this is an actual working clock. So there we go. What I'm going to do now is disconnect and package it all up and just make sure that it's in a good place. So all I'm going to do is disconnect these cables, and maybe just get a wider shot so it has to be seen. So yeah, so all I'm going to do is put this together. Perfect. And of course I will have to remove the batteries because of shipping issues, so just got to make sure that these are out of the way. Perfect. Okay, so the last thing is, obviously, before I package it up, is there's the speed of the clock is done through this, so I'm not sure whether that's you're able to see a close view of that, but what happens is that inside this empty section here, you'll be able to see that not only is the clock ticking, but this isn't the speed, this is just the window to close it, so no dust is there, so it's not speeding up, slowing down, but the actual speed has got a section inside. So let me just show you what that means. Is if you wanted to speed it up, you just open up this window and touch it, but you need to see that this handle here, this little tiny lever, you may or may not know, speeds it up and slows it down, but to access it you have to open the window. So you just open the window and you'll be able to actually adjust it within there and then that's it. So enclose it so there's no dust or elements come and interfere with the clock's mechanism. So yes, I'll continue. So I'm going to make sure that this is connected to the case so there's a perfect contact. So that's stabilized in there, that's placed in there, and then so that the fitting can actually enter the clock properly, what I'll do is I'll just make sure that this lever, this bit that sticks out, is out the way. The reason why is so that when we place the fitting onto the case, that it doesn't get in the way. And I'll show you what I mean. So inside this is the front panel. This slides through, and there's just a perfect slot into there. The other section to this is obviously to make sure that it's upright. So the front of the window will look like this. That's what you've got. And I'll adjust this once it's tightened. It's a matter of just leaving this inside here, making sure that this is in position here. I'll just make sure it's angled correctly. So there we go. And that's as tight as I want to make it. And I have to make sure that this is actually evenly right. And there we go. So at this stage I can imagine that the trip, the mechanism, isn't actually activated because it's not ticking anymore because it needs the kick from the clock. But I'm going to leave it well alone. And yeah, so what I'll do is I'll send this over to you. Closed. No batteries. And I'll place that. In fact, because obviously as you've seen from the pictures there are only 4 screws, so I have to make sure they're in the right places. So the places I'm going to choose is the bottom and the top. So 2 in the bottom, and 2 at the top. So all you need to do is obviously open up the back and place 3 AAA batteries, and that's it. So yeah, the time right now is around about 8:45, and that's what you've got. This is a as complete as I can find one of these, and as probably the most reasonably priced I can find. But yeah, it's a Bakelite. You've seen the actual photos, you know what you're getting yourself into, but it's a fantastic piece, and I'll have this delivered to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much.